You are listening to Small Business Straight Talk with your host, Amber Delagarza. Amber is a sought-after coach, trainer, speaker, and writer who gives small business owners the straight talk on productivity, time management, business systems, leading your teams, strategic decision-making, and mindset. No BS, fluff, or overused jargon. Just actionable strategies to get results and succeed in business. And here is your host, Amber Delagarza, the productivity specialist.
Welcome, and thank you for listening to the Small Business Straight Talk podcast. Today is episode 360, Delegation Strategies to Free Up Your Time and Empower Your Team. If you're a small business owner who wants to learn effective business strategies, improve time management, and elevate productivity to maximize profits, reduce stress, and make time for what matters most, then you're in the right place, and I'm so glad you've joined me. Are you drowning in tasks that leave you no time to focus on the big picture? On your high-value activities, the activities that will move you towards your goals? Imagine freeing up hours of your week while also empowering your team to shine. We're going to dive into delegation strategies so that you can free up your time, empower your team, and ultimately transform your business. Before we dive into that today, I want to invite you to take my next level business owner quiz. In 3 short minutes, you can uncover what's most holding you back from taking your business to the next level. Once you've identified what's most holding you back, you will get a curated, personalized playlist of episodes from this podcast that address those specific challenges. In those episodes, you will get methods and strategies and actionable advice that you can implement immediately. What's more productive than taking 3 minutes to get actionable advice that can impact your business? Head on over to amberdelagarza.com/quiz. Again, that's amberdelagarza.com/quiz. And now let's get to the straight talk. Making time for delegation is an investment in your business's health and success. When you invest in your team and give them the tools and information needed to complete their tasks and projects, everyone wins. Progress is made, goals are achieved, and you reclaim time for the important high-value activities that only you can do. Business owners often struggle to delegate, but delegating is essential to your success. Not delegating comes at a high cost to you and your business in the forms of overwhelm, stress, burnout, bottlenecks, plateauing, and missed growth opportunities. Oftentimes, we come up with reasons why we don't delegate, common barriers to delegating effectively. You have thoughts like, I can do it faster myself, or no one can do this as well as I can. You may be concerned that you do not have the financial resources to delegate. You fear losing control or quality, or you believe you do not have the time to delegate. These are some of the most common thoughts that I hear business owners tell themselves frequently as to why they're not delegating. Well, that is quite a list. But let's jump into the list of the benefits of effectively delegating. Increased productivity. By assigning tasks and projects to the right skilled people on your team, everyone can work more effectively, stay in their lane of their highly productive activities, and accomplish more overall. Employee development. Delegation provides opportunities for your team members to learn new skills, gain new experiences, and build confidence, which will serve your business and the pursuit of your goals. Improved morale. When employees feel trusted with responsibilities, it can boost engagement and their morale. Employees' morale is important because it directly impacts productivity, engagement, creativity, and overall job satisfaction, leading to a more positive work environment, reduced turnover, and overall performance. More time for your high-value activities. Less time spent on other activities means more time for your most important activities that only you can do. Delegating tasks free you up to focus on growth, strategy, your priorities, working on your business, and not just in your business. Less overwhelm, stress, and burnout. Less of your resources of time, energy, attention, mental bandwidth are demanded when your team takes items off your plate. Sharing the workload prevents overextension because you have less to juggle and feel overwhelmed by. Reduces bottlenecking and furthers growth. You only have so much time, energy, and mental bandwidth. These are limited resources. You can't do it all alone, but together you can move projects forward at a swifter pace and to completion. Team collaboration. Delegation encourages collaboration, knowledge sharing, problem solving, and communication within the team as people work together to achieve goals. Identifying strengths. By delegating tasks, leaders can better understand their team members' strengths and weaknesses, allowing for optimal task assignment, plus what is not your strength might be theirs. You'll discover that by giving your team members opportunities to prove themselves in different areas of expertise. Building team confidence and skills. Your team grows stronger and more confident when trusted with responsibility. When you delegate to them and don't micromanage what you delegated, you're empowering them. They become willing to take on more challenging work and responsibilities because they know that they are capable and competent. Prevents costly mistakes. Having the right people behind the wheel of a myriad of tasks you assign ensures that they'll be done by those most capable of getting the job done right. Additionally, regularly reviewing your team's work catches issues before they become costly mistakes. And lastly, supports long-term scalability. Effective delegation allows your business to grow beyond you. You do not have infinite time, energy, or skills. But when you bring the right people on and delegate effectively to them, there is no limit to your scalability because your resources are multiplying. As we are wrapping up this list of benefits, I want to do a quick recap because as you can tell, the benefits majorly outweigh common barriers and challenges that we tell ourselves. And the truth is that some of those challenges are real. Sometimes you truly do not currently have the financial resources. And it's also true that you probably can do it faster and maybe even better. But are you willing to I can do it faster, I can do it better, I don't want to lose control, the reasons why you don't get all the other benefits of delegating? Increased productivity, employee development, improved morale, more time for your high-value activities, less overwhelm, stress, and burnout, reduces bottlenecking and furthers growth, team collaboration, identifying strengths, building team confidence and skills, prevents costly mistakes, and lastly, supports long-term scalability, i.e. growth. Building a business that is not a party of one, where everything is not solely on your shoulders. Building a business where you're increasing your capacity to be able to increase revenue, reduce stress. If you want to learn more about gaining capacity by delegating, I recommend listening to episode 338. Hey Hero, It Doesn't Need to Be You. We'll be sure to link out to it in the show notes, but that is a great companion episode to today's conversation. All right, now that you know all the amazing benefits of delegating, I bet you can't wait to get even more off your plate. The challenge is that even if you know that delegation is important, that is not enough to just start delegating regularly and effectively. One of the biggest challenges to delegation is believing the story that you tell yourself that you don't have time to delegate. What if I told you you don't have time not to delegate? I'm going to repeat that again. I believe you don't have time not to delegate. Where else will you get an ROI on your time like you do when you invest in the people on your team? Sure, it takes time to make more time, but that is the investment needed to get the compounded ROI on your time. I'm going to share with you delegation strategies that will help you delegate effectively, free up your time, and empower your team. The first strategy is the time blocking strategy. Creating intentional time on your schedule on a regular basis to delegate. Depending on your workload and your team support, you may need to plan time for delegation daily, a few times a week, or even just weekly. The number of times and how much time you're blocking out depends on your unique situation and will change over time. If you have newer people on your team, they're going to need more direction, more hand-holding, more training while you're delegating, and so that will require more time. As your team members become more seasoned and you've invested in them, you can have less time. But the strategy that is, in my opinion, a non-negotiable is that these time blocks are scheduled on your calendar. And as a business leader and leader of people, this is a high value activity. High value for every reason that I've already shared in this episode. You can also make delegating part of your daily business morning routine. It's still time blocked, but it's part of your morning routine. For me, that is where I have it. I have it part of my business morning routine that's blocked out to review work. We'll have another episode about that, of how to review and give feedback and not micromanage. But for today, I also want to tell you that in my morning business routine, I create specific time to delegate tasks out to keep things moving. The next strategy is start small. Delegate smaller, less critical tasks first to build trust and confidence in your team. And this is a great start when you have a new team member. Or if you're giving a new set of responsibilities, you might want to test the waters by starting smaller. Gradually increase the complexity and the importance of tasks as team members demonstrate their capabilities. One thing that I always talk about is the trust bank. And what that means is, if you've heard of like a love tank, you're either depositing in it or withdrawing from it. And I think the same thing is true with our team. We have a trust bank, and there are going to be times where there's mistakes, miscommunications, frustrations, and there will be withdrawals from the trust bank. By starting smaller and then gradually increasing as the trust bank is being deposited in, that helps both of you move forward, building additional trust. Another way that I think starting small could show up is by prioritizing recurring tasks over one-off tasks. So spending the time to teach somebody to do something that they're going to do on a regular basis, whether it's multiple times a day, daily, weekly, is a good opportunity to have that ROI pay back and reclaim time because it's probably taking something off of your plate versus the mental lift and load, as well as the time investment to delegate off one-off tasks. So definitely prioritize recurring tasks over one-off tasks until they're up and going. Next, create simple systems. Now, I know you know the importance of standard operating procedures. We talk a lot on this podcast about that. But what I'm talking about for this is starting super simple, meeting yourself where you're at, using checklists, using templates, process documentation to ensure that there's clarity when you are delegating. And processing documentation can be a form of a full-blown standard operating procedure, but you could also document it by looming a video or doing a screen share. What I want you to take away from this strategy is it's not all or nothing. You don't have to have a fully operating, finished and completed SOP to be able to effectively delegate. Use the simple tools that you have around you. Next strategy, invest in training. Spend time training team members up front to save time in the long run. Develop their skills to take on more responsibility confidently. Many, many years ago, probably about a decade ago, I did recurring trainings for Cartier, and I got to know the learning and development director, Heather Nunez. And one thing that she shared with me, and why I say a decade ago, is because when somebody teaches you something and it sticks with you for over a decade, you know it's good advice. And what she said was that her motto is to move it from her to-do list to their to-learn list. And when you think of it that way, is that it can't just fly off of your task list and they just magically know how to do it and that they're just mind readers, but truly that the process is, I want to move it permanently off my to-do list. And by doing that, I have to add it to their to-learn list. Investing in training is essential. Next strategy, let go of perfectionism. Accept that tasks may not be completed exactly as you would do them. They are not you. You are not perfect. You are not completing tasks perfectly. So let go of the perfectionism that they are going to do it perfect. Focus on the outcome rather than the process, and provide constructive feedback. So I don't want to go to one extreme or the other of like, we're not looking for perfectionism, so anything they give us is good. But if you tend to say it has to be this narrow way and it has to be done this specific way, you may not be leaving room for actual improvement. I got to tell you, there have been so many times that I have owned a task in my business. And if you would have asked me, I was the one that could do it. And then I delegated it. And I clearly and quickly realized, why was I ever doing that task? Shockingly, they were doing it better than me. So they may not be doing as well as you, but if you don't delegate, you will never know if there are tasks and projects and responsibilities that others can take off your plate and, in fact, do better than you. Next strategy, build trust and accountability. And I was talking about this earlier with the trust bank, but creating a culture of accountability with regular check-ins and progress updates helps build that trust and accountability. It helps reinforce that what you have delegated to them is important and that you are following up and that you have a set of expectations. It's also going to be great to recognize and reward team members for successfully handling delegated tasks, bringing on new responsibilities, owning new roles in the company. Recognizing and rewarding team members will improve the culture and make your employees want to take on more and more. Now, for even more effective delegation strategies than what I have just covered with you, I invite you to go listen to episode 187, 5 Musts to delegate effectively and be satisfied with the results. That is also a great companion episode to this one. It goes into exactly what you need to do on a consistent basis, 5 steps, to get consistent results that you're satisfied with. All right, episode 187. We'll be sure to link out to that in the show notes as well. Now that we've covered effective delegation strategies, I'm going to share with you the 4 simple steps to take when delegating. Step number 1, identify task for delegation. You have to give yourself permission to create time on your calendar in your day and have the mental bandwidth to identify the tasks that need to be delegated. A few quick ways that you can identify tasks for delegation. Number 1 is going to be to track your time. Track your time and then review your time and identify tasks that can be delegated. Another strategy is that as you're adding tasks to your task list, think delegation first. Before you just accept a task and put it on your task list, first ask yourself, can this be delegated? Another strategy to keep yourself organized to identify tasks that can be delegated is to keep a notepad at your desk or a Google Doc that is open. And as you're moving through your day, think, can I add this to a delegation list? And this may be a list that you can delegate to somebody and you need to create the time to train them and explain to them and hand it off. Great. Or you're capturing tasks that can be delegated, but you don't yet have the person to delegate to. That is helpful to identify where the gaps are in the business and what your potential next hire will be. Identifying tasks for delegation seems like a simple first step, but in fact, this step gets missed often, and you know it does because you just do it. You're in autopilot. You're in, let's get it done. Let's move forward. Let's move quickly. Let's get to the next thing. And so is your thinking defaulted to, you'll do it? Or is your thinking defaulted to, can this be delegated? Step number 2 is select the right team member. Now, I just alluded to this a moment ago. When you're thinking, can this be delegated? I don't want it specifically through the lens of, do I have the right team member in this moment? I want you to have an honest audit of everything that's coming onto your to-do list. Is it something that can be delegated? Once you've just even identified it can be delegated, we have to find the right team members. What are the right team members? If you have a full team, it might be just based on their skill set. It might be based on their workload and capacity. Finding the right team member and identifying who that is will increase the success rate of getting the results you're looking for. Number 3, clearly define the task. So just having the task identified is not enough to properly delegate a task. Think about it. One line item on your task list probably represents many steps, a clear outcome, what it is you're trying to accomplish. You know that in your head, but man, the world would be a different place if our team members were mind readers. They are not. And so this is going to take some time to really think about, okay, what am I specifically delegating? What are the objectives or desired outcomes? Are there any deadlines or milestones? Are there any resources, tools that need to be given to the team member to be able to complete the task? Clearly identifying the task is key. Which brings me to number 4. So once you've clearly identified the task, you need to communicate the assignment clearly. And there are many ways to communicate the assignment, but how do you deliver all the details that are needed that somebody can get it to the finish line and with the results that you are expecting? You can communicate the task that needs to be delegated in person via a team meeting or a one-on-one meeting. You can deliver it through your project management system like ClickUp or Asana or some other task and project management system. You can create a video recording. I kind of really love this for when you have to do a screen share and that visually a lot is being told and you get to talk over it. We use a program called Loom. You can be delivering the task virtually via Zoom conferencing or any other video conferencing or Voxer. I use Voxer almost every single day with my assistant. You can also deliver these task requests via email. Now, this is not my favorite by any means, but I want you to meet yourself where you're at. This may be how you're delivering it, but can you up the level of how you're delivering it by having everything they need included? One exception to delivering a request or a task via email and not using a project management system or not communicating it in another way would be if something comes into you and you're forwarding the email that has all the context or they need to respond directly to the email. Of course, that's a great way to deliver a task request. But for regular management of tasks, I don't recommend doing that back and forth in your email as that will overwhelm and confuse everyone. I use those 4 steps every time I delegate a task or project to a team member. The 4 steps to remove the guesswork and give me great results are: I identify tasks for delegation, meaning delegation first, always asking, can this be delegated? I select the right team member based on their responsibilities, their capacity, their skill set, their workload. I take the time to clearly define the task, identifying what exactly I want them to do. What do they need to get to those results? And then I communicate the task clearly. In essence, effective delegation is not just about offloading work. It's a strategic approach that helps you reclaim time to work on your business instead of in your business, maximize team potential, foster growth, and ultimately leads to greater success. I have loved having you listen to this episode of the Small Business Straight Talk podcast, and I sure hope you found today's conversation around delegating to be valuable. But I need to be straight with you. No change, no change. Without taking action, nothing will change for you or your business. So go take action. Delegation is an essential part of leadership. Your team is there to support you and the goals you have for your business. But to have a strong team that you can trust your important tasks and projects to, you must support them as well. And a big part of supporting your team is being capable of delegating to them in a way that empowers and strengthens them. If you want to dive into more helpful resources to lead your team, check out these 2 additional episodes. Episode 324, 5 Steps to Developing a Strong Team, and episode 249, 15 Actions to Lead Your Team Effectively. Before we close out, I want to let you know that if you want coaching, training, and accountability with delegation, leading your team, creating time to be proactive and showing up in your business, then we should talk. Head on over to amberdelagarza.com to find out more about my one-on-one peak performance coaching program or my group business coaching program, Leverage Lab. Again, head on over to amberdelagarza.com. And if this is your first time here, I want to welcome you. Thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss another episode. And if you've enjoyed today's episode, be sure to share it with another business owner who you think would find it valuable. So that's my straight talk for today. Until next time, have a productive week.